You know, it would be neat if Leonard could communicate with a ghost right here in the studio.
Live TV brings the world directly into our homes, but sometimes it captures things never meant for our eyes. From reporters collapsing mid-sentence to terrifying figures hiding in the shadows, these weren't special effects. They happened live, with millions watching. What secrets have slipped past the censors? Could these eerie broadcasts expose truths the world still refuses to accept? Join us as we uncover the scariest things ever caught on live TV. 20. Mystery voice interrupts Queen's funeral. On September 19, 2022, as millions watched Queen Elizabeth II's final journey through London, the world stood still. Streets were silent. Faces were solemn. Broadcasters across the UK provided wall-to-wall coverage of the historic event. But during ITV's live stream, something deeply unsettling slipped through. Just as the Queen's hearse passed a hushed crowd, a faint voice whispered into the broadcast, "Death is irreversible," and the fact that she's... Then, silence.
"That death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped."
As you can see...
The voice wasn't part of the commentary. It didn't match any microphone on air. For a few seconds, viewers froze. Had they misheard it? Was it a glitch? Or something else? Clips of the moment went viral almost instantly. Some swore the voice resembled Princess Diana. Others called it a ghost or a spiritual disturbance breaking through the signal. The timing, the tone, the eerie delivery, none of it made sense. ITV later claimed the voice was accidentally picked up from a guest mic, but they never explained who said it or why. The message wasn't scripted. It didn't belong in the broadcast. And with the Queen's coffin in full view, one question still lingers. Who exactly was trying to speak during her final farewell? Royal passings come with ghost stories. But celebrities aren't off the hook either. Like when Wendy Williams collapsed on live TV. Was that really just exhaustion or something way darker? 19. Wendy Williams' on-air collapse. It was Halloween 2017. Wendy Williams, dressed in a shimmering green Statue of Liberty costume, opened her live show with high energy as she usually did. But within moments, everything changed. While reading from the teleprompter, her speech faltered. Her eyes widened. She looked terrified. Then, without warning, she stumbled back, shook violently, and collapsed on national television. The show cut to commercial. Viewers were left frozen, unsure if it was part of a Halloween skit or something far more serious. When the broadcast resumed minutes later, Wendy was back. She said she'd overheated in her costume. "That was not a stunt," she told the audience, trying to steady her voice. Her team later confirmed it was a fainting spell triggered by dehydration and heat exhaustion, but many weren't convinced. Clips of the fall flooded social media. Her wide, panicked eyes, the way she dropped, the confusion on everyone's faces. Some claimed it looked like something had taken control of her body. Others feared it was a sign of a hidden medical issue. Whatever it was, the moment felt raw and deeply unsettling. In just a few seconds, a lively Halloween segment turned into one of the most unforgettable and eerie live TV moments ever broadcast. But that is not the worst. Another broadcast took a dark turn, this time in a different city, with no warning. What happens when a trusted voice suddenly goes silent on air? 18. Meteorologist collapses live. In March 2023, viewers tuned in to KCAL News in Los Angeles expecting a regular weather update. Meteorologist Alyssa Carlson had barely started her segment when something felt off. She leaned forward slowly, her posture stiff. Within seconds, her eyes rolled back and she collapsed, hitting her desk before disappearing from view. The screen cut out immediately. The silence that followed was deafening.
Alyssa, this really is the calm before the storm.
Not again, no!
Carlson had a known history with heart issues. She was diagnosed with a leaky valve nearly a decade earlier after falling ill on another live broadcast. But this time, she said the incident had nothing to do with that.
When this happened, I think a lot of people, including myself, thought I was having a heart attack on the air. That was not the case, thankfully.
Still, the sight of someone losing consciousness live on air left viewers shaken. Clips of the moment spread fast. Questions filled the comment sections. Was it stress? Was she alone in the studio? Could it happen again? KCAL later confirmed she recovered and returned to work once cleared by doctors. But the unease remained. One moment, a newsroom was silent in shock. Then, across town, a courtroom was about to become the stage for real chaos. What happens when the ground itself becomes part of the broadcast? 17. Judge Judy earthquake. In Los Angeles, earthquakes aren't rare, but during a live taping of Judge Judy, one struck with chilling timing. Cameras were rolling. The courtroom was focused on the case at hand. Suddenly, a low rumble cut through the usual order. At first, it was subtle, just a slight shake of the set. Then, it grew stronger. Lights rattled. The judge's bench trembled. People's expressions shifted from confusion to fear. The studio didn't shut off. The cameras kept broadcasting every second. Judge Judy, known for her sharp tongue and firm control, paused briefly. Then she stood and swiftly exited the courtroom, joined by the rest of the staff and audience. No one screamed, but the silence and urgency told the full story. Later, officials confirmed there were no injuries, but the clip went viral, replayed millions of times as a rare look at real-life danger caught live. It wasn't a legal twist or dramatic reveal that shook the courtroom. It was the earth itself. And for a few tense moments, reality proved far more jarring than anything written into a script. Seconds earlier, a courtroom trembled under nature's weight. Then, just miles away, the skies lit up with violent energy. What happens when lightning targets the very person warning us it's coming? 16. Lightning strike near a weather reporter. In 2019, Fox 10 Phoenix reporter Matt Rodewald was live on location, tracking a powerful thunderstorm creeping over the city. The skies behind him looked angry, but there was no sign of what was seconds away. He was mid-sentence when, without warning, a searing bolt of lightning split the sky. The screen filled with white light. A deafening boom followed instantly. Matt instinctively ducked and bolted out of frame. The strike hit so close, it knocked out power to thousands of homes across Phoenix. For viewers at home, it looked like a special effect, but it was real. He had narrowly escaped a direct hit by only a few feet. There was no time to think, only to react. The moment went viral, not just because of the danger, but because it exposed how real these weather risks are, even for professionals. News crews often face the elements head-on, but this one felt like a warning shot from nature itself. No dramatization, no script, just one bolt of lightning that turned a routine segment into one of live TV's most chilling close calls. 15. Impossible landing. In 2020, passengers aboard an Airbus A380, the world's largest passenger jet, braced for impact as their flight approached Heathrow Airport. Storm Dennis was already causing chaos across Europe, and now it had its grip on the sky over London. The winds were violent, unpredictable, and pounding against the plane's massive wings like invisible hammers. With just seconds to react, the pilot didn't try a typical descent. Instead, he executed what's known as a crab landing, a high-risk maneuver where the plane approaches the runway at an angle, fighting crosswinds with its nose turned sideways like a crab walking across sand. Cameras on the ground captured the unsettling sight, a 600-ton aircraft gliding in at a slant.
He's gonna go around. Is he gonna go around? Oh my God, look at it!
Teetering against the gusts, wheels just inches from skidding out of control. But then, a perfect correction. The wheels hit, the fuselage straightened, the cabin burst into applause. It looked impossible. It nearly was. For the passengers on board, survival didn't come from luck. It came from years of pilot training meeting a storm at its worst. A reminder that sometimes staying alive means flying directly into chaos and finding control within it. From a plane defying death mid-air to chaos rolling on asphalt, what happens when military power ends up in the wrong hands? 14. The stolen tank rampage. It was May 1995, a warm evening in San Diego, when something terrifying unfolded live on television. Sean Nelson, a 35-year-old Army veteran battling addiction, financial ruin, and mental health issues, broke into a National Guard armory and stole an M60 Patton tank.
It was a frightening scene. A man who reportedly had emotional and financial problems got a hold of an Army tank last evening.
Within minutes, he was plowing through traffic like a machine from a war zone, tearing up sidewalks, smashing cars, and flattening fire hydrants. For 23 straight minutes, stunned viewers watched as news helicopters tracked the steel beast carving a path of destruction through suburban streets. Police cruisers followed helplessly. The tank, built for combat, was nearly impossible to stop with standard weapons. It wasn't until Nelson tried to cross a central median that the tank got stuck, its treads grinding uselessly against concrete. That pause gave officers their only chance. They climbed the tank, forced the hatch open, and fatally shot Nelson when he refused to surrender. The rampage was over, but the damage, both physical and psychological, was unforgettable. No one else was killed that day, but the footage still haunts anyone who saw it. A weapon of war turned loose in a quiet neighborhood, turning familiar roads into scenes of total mayhem. From tanks crushing cars to gunmen storming cameras, what happens when the news itself becomes the battleground in a nation on edge? 13. Studio break-in. It was just past noon on January 9, 2024, when a live television broadcast in Ecuador turned into a scene of raw terror. Viewers tuning in to TC Televisión, one of the country's most watched networks, suddenly found themselves watching a real-time hostage crisis unfold on air. Armed men in black stormed the Guayaquil studio mid-broadcast, some waving assault rifles, others clutching sticks of dynamite. The intruders shouted threats as they pushed anchors to the ground and took over the control room. Staff members were ordered to lie face down. The gang claimed to be acting on behalf of Los Choneros, a powerful criminal group tied to drug trafficking and prison violence. Just hours earlier, Adolfo Macias, the group's fugitive leader, had escaped from a maximum security prison, triggering a national state of emergency. With the country already on high alert, the images of masked men inside a newsroom sent shockwaves across Latin America. Police quickly surrounded the station. After a tense standoff, special forces stormed the building, freeing the hostages and arresting the attackers. No journalists were killed, but the message was loud and brutal. Even the news isn't safe when organized crime declares war on the state. When gunmen can storm a studio and a tank can flatten city streets, what happens when the threat walks straight into the shot? 12. Reporter confronted on air. MSNBC journalist Shaquille Brewster was reporting live from Gulfport, Mississippi, covering the aftermath of Tropical Storm Ida. It was a calm and measured update until chaos broke in without warning. A man in a white pickup truck abruptly pulled over behind the live crew. As the camera rolled, he charged toward Brewster mid-sentence, yelling angrily about the media and its storm coverage. Despite the tension, Brewster stayed composed, continuing his report while keeping one eye on the growing threat. But the man didn't stop. He got into Brewster's face, shouting over his words, reaching for the microphone, and forcing the live segment to be cut off instantly for safety. The screen froze, but the fear didn't. Back in the studio, the anchor's voice cracked with concern as he called out to Brewster, unsure what was unfolding off camera. Minutes later, police confirmed the man had fled. He was arrested not long after and charged with assault. No one was hurt, but the footage exposed an unsettling truth.
Needs a little help right now.
Hey.
Not all threats to journalists come from war zones. Sometimes they come quietly, then explode without warning, right in front of millions. In a world of live news, how safe is on air? And what happens when someone simply disappears, without warning, without reason, and without a trace? 11. The vanishing airport passenger. It happened during a routine airport interview in Copenhagen. A Danish TV reporter was calmly speaking with a passenger near the baggage carousel. Everything looked normal until it didn't. In the background, a blonde woman stood still, waiting near the luggage belt. Then, in the blink of an eye, she vanished. One traveler passed in front of her, and just like that, she was gone. There was no stumble, no awkward movement, no blur, just absence. Within hours, the clip spread across the internet. Some said it was a digital glitch. Others swore it was something paranormal. She phased out, one viewer claimed. "We just watched reality fold," said another. Experts jumped in, pointing to low frame rates or video compression issues. One theory suggested the woman timed her walk so precisely behind the other passenger that she was blocked completely at the perfect moment. But not everyone was convinced. In a place like an airport, where security cameras catch every movement, this moment stood out because it defied logic. No explanation felt complete. It wasn't loud or violent. But it was deeply unsettling, because what else might vanish before our eyes, right when we think we're watching everything? If someone can vanish in plain sight at an airport, what happens when a person appears to split right in front of millions? 10. The double-eyed news anchor. During a primetime political segment on Canadian television, a respected female news anchor sat calmly at her desk, delivering serious commentary. Nothing seemed unusual until viewers noticed something deeply unsettling. In a blink, literally, her eyes appeared to duplicate. A second, lighter pair of eyelids flickered just above her normal ones, creating a strange mirrored motion. For a full second, it looked like she had two sets of eyes.
Have long been a cornerstone of the counterinsurgency doctrine.
The clip exploded online. People slowed it down, frame by frame. Some said it was an obvious glitch, just a momentary camera sync issue, maybe a corrupted frame. But others weren't buying it. Fringe theorists flooded forums, claiming it was proof of shape-shifting, hidden identities, or worse. They pointed to how only her eyes morphed. Nothing else on screen shifted or blurred. What made it even more bizarre? The anchor never acknowledged it. No public comment, no clarification. The silence only fueled the theories. While broadcast experts explained it as overlapping fields during interlaced video capture, the image stuck in people's minds. Eyes duplicated, blinking independently. It wasn't bloody or loud, but something about a human face glitching in real time so subtly felt deeply wrong. So what did we really see that night? We may never know. But what if someone forces their way into your TV uninvited, with no warning at all? 9. The Max Headroom signal hijacking. On the night of November 22, 1987, viewers across Chicago witnessed a chilling and unexplained breach of the airwaves, now known as the Max Headroom signal hijacking. It started at 14 minutes past 9 in the night during a WGN newscast. Sports anchor Dan Roan was mid-sentence when the screen suddenly went black. 15 seconds later, the silence was broken by a figure in a Max Headroom mask, jerking and twitching in front of a rotating metal panel. No message, just distorted movement and an unsettling buzzing sound. Then, silence again. 2 hours later, it happened again. During a Doctor Who episode on PBS affiliate WTTW, the same masked intruder returned. This time he spoke. The distorted voice mocked TV networks, referenced WGN sportscaster Chuck Swirsky, and held up a Pepsi can while mocking Coca-Cola. It ended with a disturbing scene of his exposed lower body being swatted with a fly swatter before the signal was finally cut. The FCC launched an investigation. They traced the signal disruption to an unknown location, but no one was ever caught. There were no demands, no claims, and no one took credit. How did someone hijack 2 major TV broadcasts and disappear without a trace? 8. Pope Francis's disappearance. On a sunny day in Vatican City, thousands had gathered in St. Peter's Square for the Pope's weekly blessing. Pope Francis appeared at his window, waved gently, and delivered a short prayer. But as he turned to step back inside, something strange happened. His figure didn't walk away. It seemed to flicker and then vanish, as if someone hit a delete key on live TV. Within hours, clips of the moment were flooding social media. Theories exploded. Some believed it was a hologram, meant to protect the Pope from potential assassination threats. Others thought it was a digital glitch, maybe a video overlay gone wrong or a pre-recorded segment accidentally aired live. But then things got more suspicious. The original video was quietly removed from the Vatican's official channel and replaced with a clean version without explanation. This only fueled speculation. Was it a technical error? Or was the Vatican hiding something? Skeptics argue it's just internet paranoia, but others point to the Vatican's tight control over media.
Pope Francis's security detail will adjust to his spontaneous style,
and the Pope's increasingly heavy security as reasons not to dismiss it so quickly. If the Pope wasn't physically there, who or what were people watching that day? Why will objects start moving on their own, live on air? 7. Poltergeist in a news studio. It was an ordinary morning on a Central American news program. 2 anchors sat under bright studio lights, discussing current events with the calm ease of a daily routine. On their desk, 2 glasses of water. Nothing unusual until both anchors froze mid-sentence. One glass slid across the table with no warning, spilling water toward the edge. At first they laughed, brushing it off. Then the second glass shifted too, slow, deliberate, and completely untouched. Startled, the hosts stood up. There was no one nearby, no stagehands on set. The production crew paused the broadcast, scanning for fishing wire, camera tricks, anything that could explain what just happened. They found nothing. Replays showed clear footage. No strings, no shadows, no logical cause. Some blamed vibrations, maybe condensation on the desk. But if that were true, why did the glasses move seconds apart, with different speeds and angles? Online, the footage exploded. Viewers called it a poltergeist. Others claimed it was a spiritual presence or residual energy trapped in the studio. Whatever it was, it turned a quiet news segment into an unsettling mystery. And in a world full of fakes and filters, this clip felt too real to ignore. Just when a haunted studio left anchors shaken, a new broadcast surfaced, set in a graveyard, revealing something far more chilling. What exactly did the cameras catch this time? 6. Ghostly figure in a graveyard newscast. During a routine report from Green Ridge Cemetery in New York, a local news crew was filming a daytime segment on the site's history. The anchor spoke calmly, panning over rows of gravestones. Everything seemed normal until the footage aired. That's when a viewer called the station, pointing out something strange behind one of the headstones marked Butler. As the camera moved, a human-like figure darted across the screen. It didn't blur like a passing shadow. It didn't reflect like sunlight. It moved too quickly, too smoothly, and far too solidly. The news station reviewed the raw footage.
As you can see behind me here, we have a few gravestones, but what you can't see...
No staff were near that part of the cemetery. There were no reenactments, no extras, and no known visitors in the area at the time. Online, the clip gained traction fast. Paranormal investigators flagged it as a potential spirit sighting. Some said it matched past reports of unexplained activity at Green Ridge. Skeptics argued it could have been a trick of lighting or someone walking unseen. Still, no one has confirmed what the figure actually was, and for many viewers, it wasn't just the setting, but the timing that made it unforgettable. 5. The Silar Ghost. On Halloween night in Silar, California, the Spartans were locked in a tense game against the Reseda Regents. Cheers echoed through the stands, the lights buzzed above, and phones recorded every touchdown. Among the crowd was Anna Diano, filming her daughter's cheer routine. What she caught instead has sparked endless debate. Later that night, while reviewing her video, Anna froze. In the background, a transparent human-like shape darted across the field, faster than any player, with no clear origin or destination. The figure didn't match any known movement or object on the field. It looked like someone or something was running. She sent the clip to friends. Everyone asked the same question. "Can you see that?" The video quickly went viral. Some believed it was the ghost of a former player. Others blamed lens flare, editing glitches.
Maybe it was a glitch, maybe with a memory chip in the camera or something.
Or hardware errors. A local physics teacher, Bruce Lindsay, suggested electromagnetic interference. But skeptics were stumped when Anna admitted she barely knew how to use her phone, much less fake a clip. The footage hasn't been debunked. And what ran through that high school game remains one of the eeriest live sports mysteries ever recorded. The ghost that raced across a football field was one thing, but what happens when a shadow appears from above during a live newscast? 4. Ghostly shadow on live TV. In 2011, viewers tuning into ITV News in the UK expected a standard traffic update. A reporter was broadcasting live from the M11 motorway, just outside London, where a serious car accident had taken place hours earlier.
From the scene of a car accident on the M11 just outside London.
The camera was steady, the report routine, until something strange crept into the frame. From the top of the screen, a dark, semi-transparent shape slowly descended. It hovered above the road, then drifted sideways before vanishing into thin air. The figure didn't resemble smoke, debris, or anything mechanical. It had a smooth, gliding motion that seemed too controlled and too unnatural. ITV quickly received emails and messages from viewers asking what they had just seen. In response, the network launched a quiet internal review. Their conclusion? A bug is crawling across the camera lens. But that answer didn't hold up for everyone. Skeptics pointed out that the object's shape was unusually consistent and its transparency didn't match how insects appear on glass. Its behavior didn't fit any known optical illusion. To this day, there's no verified explanation, whether it was a camera glitch or something unseen crossing into our view. The shadow on live TV left jaws hanging, but what followed in Japan raised a terrifying new question. What else watches disasters unfold? 3. The tsunami and the mysterious creature. On March 11, 2011, Japan was struck by a powerful 9.1 magnitude earthquake, the fourth most powerful ever recorded. The quake triggered a tsunami that swallowed entire towns, overturned cars like toys, and swept away homes within minutes. News stations around the world aired the destruction live, but in the middle of that chaos, something else was caught on camera, something that didn't look human, mechanical, or natural. In one widely circulated clip, a dark, winged figure appears to rise from the churning water. It shoots up into the air, gliding over a crumbling rooftop before vanishing into the gray sky. The footage quickly went viral. Skeptics called it floating debris or a visual artifact, but Thinker Thunker, a YouTuber and CGI analyst known for exposing digital tricks, found something odd. The object's movement didn't match falling rubble or wind-blown material. It hovered for a moment, almost deliberately, then soared in a clean arc, as if it had intent. Despite several expert reviews, no one could prove what the figure actually was. There was no known creature that fit the description, and the clip wasn't tied to any confirmed CGI manipulation. Theories swirled: a bird, a drone, a hoax, or something unknown, drawn to tragedy. Some believe extreme trauma tears open unseen doors. Others remain firm. It was nothing more than a trick of light and chaos. The truth, for now, remains airborne and unanswered. If natural disasters can stir up unknown creatures from the deep, what happens when the sky itself answers back in real time? 2. The UFO over Peru. In 2020, a live broadcast from Yaya Beach in Peru took a bizarre turn that left both reporters and viewers shaken. The area had long been a hotspot for strange aerial sightings, but most locals dismissed them as rumors until that day. As a journalist stood before a crowd of about 200 people, discussing the wave of recent UFO claims, something unexpected happened. A set of bright white lights appeared overhead, not blinking like a plane or drifting like a drone, but hovering silently, completely still. People in the crowd aimed green laser pointers at the object. That's when things got chilling. The lights responded. They flashed back in sharp, timed bursts, almost as if answering the signals. Filmed live, the footage captured a hexagon-shaped form. There were no visible rotors, no engine sounds, no strobe lights like those seen on aircraft. Some claimed it was just a clever drone stunt or military tech, but eyewitnesses pushed back, saying it stayed suspended too long, too steady, and the pulsing pattern wasn't random. It felt coordinated. Theories exploded across social media. Was it a test flight, an elaborate hoax, or something else entirely? If a silent object in Peru could blink back at a crowd, what about a familiar face that shouldn't exist alive and in disguise? 1. Michael Jackson's alleged disguise. At the 2018 Emmy Awards, a deeply unsettling figure took center stage: Teddy Perkins. Dressed in a red velvet jacket with ghostly pale skin and wide staring eyes, he looked exactly like the eerie character from Donald Glover's TV show Atlanta. Viewers assumed Glover was simply pulling off a performance stunt, hidden behind heavy prosthetics. But that assumption quickly fell apart. Glover was spotted backstage at the same time Perkins was sitting in the audience. He wasn't in costume, and neither were any of his castmates. So, who was Teddy? That simple question triggered a storm of conspiracy theories online. Some fans insisted the figure was none other than Michael Jackson, long believed by a devoted few to have faked his death in 2009. Jackson was famously obsessed with masks, costumes, and changing his appearance. The idea didn't feel impossible to those who already suspected he'd vanished by choice. What made things even stranger was what Teddy reportedly said. Cryptic lines about someone trying to kill him, but failing. "But I did not die," he whispered.
Technically killed me, but I did not die. I'm still alive.
Sending chills down viewers' spines. The Emmys were broadcast live. Millions saw the face, the voice, the body language. It didn't match Glover's, and it didn't belong to any confirmed guest. Experts called it performance art. Fans weren't convinced. Was it a clever act or a ghost from pop culture refusing to fade away? The mask was pulled on, but never off. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave nice comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting content. Check out another interesting video by clicking on the video appearing on your screen right now.